Welcome back to Tech Talks from Commercial Baking. In this episode, sponsored by Reading Bakery Systems, I'm speaking with Nico Ressler, North American Pretzel and Snack Equipment Sales Manager. And we are talking about the benefits and opportunities that come with RBS's low pressure extruder technology. Hi, Nico. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Hi, Joni. Thanks for having me again. It's a real pleasure.
So you and I have had a lot of conversations over the years, and one thing that we've talked a lot about is pretzels and all of the opportunities that come with them, especially in this era of health-conscious snacking. And pretzels, they check so many boxes. One thing that they do and what they provide as far as varieties is these different shapes and different flavor varieties. And the shapes sort of impact flavor varieties. So what are you seeing as far as trends in pretzels and the different types that are out there?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. Pretzels continue to see steady growth based on all the metrics we're seeing in sales data. And part of that is because of clean label initiatives, things like that. Pretzel ingredients are straightforward. It's flour, water, yeast. You don't have a lot adding to that ingredient list label. But where we're seeing the biggest growth is in these more unique shapes where you can add additional things that make that flavor of the pretzel pop or bring different flavors to a pretzel. So you're seeing pretzel braids, filled pretzel products really seeing the largest growth right now. And so our technology is able to sort of capitalize on those trends by offering producers different ways to apply that seasoning to a pretzel, because when you have a pretzel, you're putting it through a caustic cooker, a bath, similar to what you do with a bagel, but it's got caustic solution in it that provides that color and flavor that you associate with pretzels. But that gelatinization of the surface of the pretzel typically makes it harder to apply a seasoning that you'd see on, a more traditional expanded type of snack. So there are different ways to get around that by making braids or broken pretzels where you're exposing the interior of the product that really helps absorb these seasonings that are all the rage right now.
Right, and so one thing that I think is really interesting from what you're saying is pretzel producers, they need to think about these varieties and what types of flavors they want to create. They have to think about it further back in the system because there are specific shapes and types, like you said, that are going to hold those flavors a lot better. So when pretzel producers are thinking about how can I expand my product line or get really innovative, what should they be thinking about as far as a low pressure extruder system in how they're creating these shapes or even like pieces for these different flavor varieties?
Yeah, so you got to think about how you're going to get that seasoning to stick to the product. So a pretzel braid is where you're extruding 2 or 3 ropes and they're twisting around each other. And when you get that twist, what you're doing is you're creating deep crevices in the product where that caustic solution doesn't fully gelatinize. And when it comes out of the oven, you'll see a color difference between the exterior of that product and the interior grooves. And then you send that through a seasoning tumbler, and really where you're getting that bang for your buck with that seasoning is where it's getting into those grooves and sticking better. Applying them to a traditional exterior of a pretzel, a lot of that's just not going to stick because the surface is gelatinized. Then, yeah, for broken products, it's a matter of baking and then exposing the interior, and you can do that in multiple different ways. Exposing that interior where you've got a porous surface area where those oil-based slurries can really sink into that product and really flavor that product.
Nice. Okay. So then another thing that's happening in the pretzel market is with fillings. And we're seeing so many different types of fillings. We've got all of the nut butters. We've got cheese fillings. So when you look at the little pretzel nuggets that have these fillings, I mean, I'm even hearing about things like hummus filling a pretzel. So again, if a pretzel producer is thinking about, I want to have this variety of fillings, I want to start tinkering with new and innovative different fillings, what should they be thinking about from the extrusion perspective with the equipment in order to make it seamless and easier to produce? I guess what I'm curious is, are filled products harder to produce?
Yeah, first of all, every filled product comes with its own sets of challenges and things you need to think about. But I want to first talk about, just the variety that we're seeing right now of what fillings are going into pretzels. RBS is a global company. We're seeing a lot of influence from Europe, the Middle East, Africa of creating different types of fillings, like a date paste that we're developing in our tech center right now. That's just phenomenal. It has the health benefits, and it creates a very unique product. But yeah, everyone wants to come up with and develop that new filling that can hit the market and be something different. What you got to think about though is it bake stable, because you have to put this filling into the product before it goes into the oven. So when you're putting a product like even the more standard peanut butters that you see on the market right now, you have to be very careful that they're bake stable. Otherwise, they're going to blow out or leak inside the oven, and that creates a whole host of issues with cleaning, maintenance, and sometimes even worse. So you have to think about that. One product isn't necessarily harder than the other. It just brings its own set of challenges, whether there's more moisture in, say, like a date paste than a peanut butter, or more fat in a peanut butter versus a fruit filling. So a lot to consider, but a lot of opportunity there for customers.
Nice. And you're making me super hungry, and I really want to try a date paste filled pretzel. That sounds so good. So when we think about, I usually like to close out these conversations talking about what's the easiest way to get in touch. But I want to sort of preempt that question, because one thing that RBS is really known for is your innovation center. So what can bakers do, or pretzel producers do, to sort of test out ideas, whether it's a flavor innovation or seeing if there's a new product or a new pretzel shape variety that they want to try? What's happening in the innovation center at RBS that can help bakers kind of try out these new products and see if this extruder equipment is right for what they want to do?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of steps, right? One is just to reach out directly to myself or some of my colleagues here in North America and discuss, what innovative ideas you may have, right? So our low pressure extrusion system is super flexible, where it's one extruder, but it has all these different attachments that you can put on it to make your standard pretzel shapes, braids, filled nuggets, filled sticks, anything like that. So it's a very versatile system, but it's good for us to get an understanding of what your target product looks like, because then we can work with you to design specific custom dies to make a specific shape. We've been doing a lot with 3D printing of nozzles for different types of filled products. So you don't just need your standard nugget size, you can do a thin stick, like I mentioned before, with different nozzle sizings for the different fillings and the exterior jacket of the dough. So yeah, one is just to understand the needs that are out there, and then two is take advantage of the tech center, like you're saying. So we have a full pilot system, low pressure extrusion system in our tech center, where we can extrude and bake all of these products to do a full proof of concept. And yeah, if you have a custom idea, we can work with you to then try it at pilot scale first, and then scale up from there to full production.
That's so awesome, and really just it's crazy to think about, even with 3D printing, and pretzels are, like we opened this conversation with, they're a very clean label, a really basic formula, yet the possibilities are almost endless with what kinds of dyes you can create, what kind of filling you can put in. And I think having those capabilities in the tech center are really going to enable bakers to dream big and see what they can come up with. Is it hard to get time in the tech center? Like what do bakers need to do in order to reserve a time to get up there and see it?
Yeah, it's a very popular place. We are typically booked out 1 or 2 months in advance, but yeah, we have a very flexible schedule, so we work with customers to get them in as soon as possible. And like you said, there's such a big world out there of opportunity for pretzels, but another big thing that's interesting when you come to the tech center and you start working with our low pressure extrusion pilot system and you start baking these products, but then you go to the oven and you see that we're baking these on a fully electric, new oven that is like the future of baking technology in this industry, and that's a whole nother thing that then opens their eyes to the other things we're doing. So yeah, people are welcome to reach out at reddingbakery.com, reach out directly to myself, and yeah, we can get people in.
Awesome. Well, Nico, thanks so much for taking time to talk to me about the low pressure extrusion technology available at RBS. And as always, it is just a pleasure to spend time with you.
Thanks, Joni. It's really my pleasure. Thank you very much.